Turn to Proverbs 7:15. We're still walking through the dialogue of the strange woman. In verse 14, she said, I have peace offerings with me, this day have I paid my vows. Verse 15, therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. So she says, therefore came I forth to meet thee. Now there's a little simple rule of Bible study you always want to remember. When you see a therefore, ask what it's there for. Therefores are really important because therefores connect this verse to the previous one. Therefore means, in consequence of that being so, as a result or inference from what has been stated, consequently. So, what she's saying here is that she came out to meet the young man because she is a godly and a religious woman. So she claims. Because in 14, she said, I have peace offerings with me, this day have I paid my vows. She's a religious, godly, Jewish woman, right? Therefore, because I'm a godly, professing Jew, I've come out to meet you. Because I'm not looking for these wretches out here. I'm not looking for these fornicators. I'm looking for a good, godly Jew. I want a religious, spiritual man, because that's what I am. So therefore, because I'm a spiritual, religious woman, I came out to meet you. Well, doesn't that sound good? She's so eager to meet him that she came right out of her house at night to do so. She probably just happened to be sitting there reading the Torah by candlelight in the window, and she just happened to see this godly young man walking around, and she just figured, I better go out and introduce myself to him because, it's not every day you get to meet a good one like that. That's probably what she was doing. Wouldn't this make that young fool feel so special? Oh, I came out to meet you diligently to seek thy face. Diligently is in a diligent manner, with diligence, with steady application, assiduously, industriously, not idly or lazily, with dispatch. So she's not lazy. She wasn't sitting there just, lounging around doing nothing. She sees him, and boy, she bolts right out there. Diligently, she's going to get out there as fast as she can and scoop him up before somebody else does. Diligent, when we're speaking of persons, is constant in application, preserving in endeavor, assiduous, industrious, not idle, not negligent, not lazy. So, that makes you feel pretty good if a woman's pursuing you with energy and vigor, and she's really trying to get out there and get you. She said, diligently to seek thy face. Seek is to go in search or quest of, to try to find, look for, either a particular object, person, thing, or place, whose whereabouts are unknown, or an indefinite object suitable for a particular purpose. Just like the woman in that parable that would lost her coin and she sought through the whole house and swept the whole thing looking for it, right? Or that shepherd that goes out there and looks for that one lost sheep and he scours the mountains and the valleys and he finally finds it. This is what she does, diligently seeking her prey. And this is one of the characteristics of the wicked. They are diligent, oftentimes more diligent than the righteous, unfortunately. Look at Psalm 64 in verse 6. Just give you a few verses here. Why do you think most of the people that make their way up into high government are wicked? It's because they're more diligent in their goals and aspirations than righteous people are, because righteous people would rather just earn an honest living and be left alone and leave other people alone, but not the types that get up into high levels of government. Psalm 64 in verse 6. They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. These kind of people aren't sitting around talking about the weather. They're not talking about the neighbor, right? Their thoughts are deep. They're thinking about deep things. They're plotting. They're scheming. They have long-term goals. That's why the liberals have managed to pretty much take over the government over the last 100 or so years, and why they constantly win every battle, and the conservatives try to conserve what they currently have. Basically, the liberals make 3 steps forward, and the conservatives say, okay, we want to conserve this, and we want to stay right here at these 3 steps forward, and the liberals just power on another 3 steps, and the conservatives say, okay, let's stop right here, we're just going to conserve this. and they just lose every battle. Because these people, these type of wicked people, they have long-term goals. Like with the whole John Dewey and the public school system, he started that way back, I think it was in the 1930s. And they had these plans of what they wanted to do and how they wanted to indoctrinate a whole generation of people. And, I mean, it wasn't going to happen in a year or 10 years. I mean, they knew it was going to take a long time. And these kind of people, yeah, they don't mind working for some type of a goal that they will never even see in their own lifetimes. That's how evil they are. It's amazing. But, you know, people on the right side of issues, I don't think they have that kind of resolve. And that's why they keep losing over and over again.
What's called a conservative in Congress today is not a conservative.
Oh, no.
Compared to even 15 years ago.
Oh, no. I mean, JFK would have put any of these conservatives to shame probably today. I mean, Bill Clinton would put a lot of these conservatives to shame today. I mean, at least they balanced the budget under his tenure. Granted, it was with a Republican Congress, but still. Anyway. These people study destruction. Proverbs 24 and verse 2. Proverbs 24 and verse 2. For their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. See, they're diligent, they accomplish a diligent search, their inward thoughts are deep, and they're studiers. They're figuring out and working this out in their mind and doing research and figuring out how they're going to do whatever evil they have planned. And they don't sleep until they get it done. Proverbs 4 and verse 16. For they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. That strange woman wasn't going to bed that night until she found somebody to go to bed with, right? They sleep not until they've done mischief. Now, having a, quote, godly, affluent woman setting out on a diligent quest to find him would have made the young fool feel even more special. But if he would have had any sense at all, he would have known that if this woman really was a godly woman, she would have been diligently seeking God, not diligently seeking some man to sin with that night. Look in Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6. Hebrews 11:6. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. That's who we ought to be diligently seeking the face of, God, not some man to sin with like this woman was. And then she says, after having diligently sought his face, I have found thee. Now, I'm just imagining, but I imagine that this was no doubt said with a seductive smile. You can just kind of see her. I've been diligently seeking thy face, and I have found thee. And she gets this real twinkle in her eye and this smile. And she's just so excited. Now he really feels important. Now his guard is down for what comes next in verse 16. Just a quick note at the end of the sermon. The most important thing a believer in Jesus Christ can do is to be a member of one of God's true churches. If you're not already a member of one, go to pastorwagner.com/churches to see if there is a true church or other believers of like faith near you. That's pastorwagner.com/churches.